All right. Hello, everyone. This is Maria Fakis, Executive Director of ADONIS Fertility International. And once again, we are very happy to support you through our Wednesday webinars, our Wednesday, hot seats, we call it sometimes. Today, I have a phenomenal guest. We have Dr. Alena with us, Dr. Alena Mastimenko. Hello, Alena. Здравствуйте, Елена.
Здравствуйте.
All right, so happy to have you. So guys, the format will be Alena will be speaking and I will be translating. So that's going to be so much more convenient for her. I want to make sure also that we did not lose anything in translation. So that's why I'm going to be translating, okay? We specifically are focusing today on a process of surrogate selection, okay? And we do have surrogate programs for United States and also surrogate programs internationally, specifically in Ukraine. Legislation is different. So we are talking today from the perspective of Ukraine. Okay, so if you're listening from other countries or you're considering surrogacy in the United States, please know that the specific will be different for America, and we could have a separate session on that. So with that, Dr. Alena, share a little bit about yourself. Расскажите немножко о себе, да, how did you even get into the field of reproduction? What your experience have been? Yeah, расскажите, да, о себе, как вы вообще пришли к той профессии, в которой вы есть, чтобы мы немножко познакомились.
Здравствуйте, меня зовут Алена Мастименко, я доктор-репродуктолог клиники ADONIS. Училась я в университете медицинском в Киеве, окончила в 2012 году и получила распределение акушерство-гинекология. Все доктора-репродуктологи изначально акушер-гинекологи.
Вот. Доктор Алена, мы будем поменьше, чтобы я могла сразу же переводить. Поэтому вы говорите, я буду, да, чуть-чуть. I'm going to be interrupting sometimes, so I could be translating faster to you guys. So Dr. Alena, she's actually, she has phenomenal story. So she said that, so she graduated in 2012 with the profession, doctor of reproduction, fertility doctor. But and she finished one of the top universities in Ukraine, located in Kiev, the capital of the country. And it is required for the medical professionals for going into the reproduction that they also get specialization in OBGYN. So her first actual practice and deep work has been as OBGYN.
На интернатуре я была в отделении репродуктологии, и оттуда начался мой путь и мой интерес к репродуктивной медицине. Мне очень хотелось иметь отношение к рождению маленьких детей. Акушерство сильно сложное для меня было, я очень переживала, а вот репродукция меня очень заинтересовала, и мне хотелось участвовать в этом процессе.
Okay, phenomenal. So Dr. Alena says that, yes, so after spending some time in practicing OBGYN, her specialization practice has become heavily in reproduction and fertility, and it's something that she has been drawn to immediately. It's more narrow specialization, and it just resonated with her so much because it always had been a dream for her to be a really big part of this miracle of a baby. So that's how the reproduction and fertility world came into her life.
Ну и затем все мои усилия в работе были направлены, чтобы попасть в отделение репродуктологии и стать репродуктологом. И вот с 2018 года я уже непосредственно в этой узкой сфере репродукции работаю.
And so then starting from 2018, Dr. Alena has been already working full-time as the fertility reproduction doctor. И, Алена, с этого момента вы уже с 2018 в Адонисе или, да?
Я просто в репродукции была в Адонисе, я с 22 года.
Okay, okay. Okay, and so at ADONIS, Dr. Alena is from 2022. Okay, so thank you so much. So yes, you definitely, I know that I've heard so many amazing things about you from other team members of the medical team. So the work that you're doing, especially on the selection of surrogates, is very important, and you have such a huge impact there. Okay, so let's speak now, going really diving into the surrogate screening, into the phases of the surrogate screening. And let me just, guys, make a preface that Dr. Alena, the fertility doctor, is just one of the sides, so she will really be considering it from the medical perspective, what goes into her role. But before that, the phases of the screening involved, the interviews, all of the risk question analysis and, questionnaires, evaluation, psychological evaluation, all of the, collecting the background information, criminal records, feedback, and so many things get involved. But we're gonna start, so then the moment the surrogate has passed all of those initial phases, she's coming then into the world of the evaluation, specifically from the medical team, and there is a team of doctors. And one of the big roles is for the fertility doctor to make. So that's what we're going to be considering today. Доктор Алена, я сказала, да, что вы не касаетесь части, когда идет вот этот прескрининг, да, суррогатных, но вот в момент, когда уже она прошла вот первоначальные этапы, она уже получила зеленый свет, что можно дальше обследоваться с медицинской точки зрения, вы вступаете. Поэтому расскажите нам вот уже, какие фазы вашей эвалюации.
Мгм. У нас суррогатные мамы проходят обследование у разных докторов. Обязательно это акушер-гинеколог, обязательно это репродуктолог и обязательно терапевт. Обязательно проходят УЗИ, обследование всего организма, анализы, анализы крови, анализы цитология, да, то есть гинекологические анализы, обязательно обследуются на инфекции ТОРЧ-инфекции, которые могут приводить к порокам развития плода, на инфекции, которые могут вызывать невынашивание и преждевременные роды, тоже обязательно проходят исследования. Ну и так.
Сейчас, okay. So, yeah, so Dr. Alena is saying that once the medical evaluation is starting, so there is an array of doctors that will be looking at the surrogate candidate. Mandatory, of course, is, review by the doctor, OBGYN doctor, then, fertility doctor. In Ukraine, they call it, the next doctor is therapist, but this is more like a family doctor. This is where a lot of the viral infections and, just somatic outlook of the body is being evaluated. Эндокринолог также, да?
Если есть показания к эндокринологу, то еще дополнительно любой другой специалист, где есть нарушения. Эндокринолог, мамолог, нефролог, все, что мы находим, мы обязательно более узкого специалиста привлекаем.
Okay, so in addition, of course, she said that if so these are the kind of the base doctors that will be looking into the health condition of the surrogate. Then, of course, if there needs to be also additional evaluation by a very narrow specialist, such as endocrinologist, mammologist. So this is more if it's concerned with the cancer. Yes. Это если маммолог, это если
Патология, не обязательно рак, но патология.
Okay,
то есть
pathology of the yes, of the breast gland, I guess that's how it's translated. And and so many other narrow specialists, they will be coming into evaluation as well. So again, like this is a very intense process. From the perspective then, when she's looking more into the fertility OBGYN and reproduction specialist, of course, there is a set of ultrasounds. This is, I'm just translating now what Dr. Alena has said in the previous segment a couple moments ago. Ultrasounds, big panel of the blood work, CT analysis, big array on infectious diseases that they're going through. including torch infection, something that could be transmitted to a child, and also type of infections that could be leading to complications during the pregnancy or during the delivery. So all of that big panel is being considered.
Затем, если все... И также дополнительно мы обязательно берем папиль биопсию эндометрия, что может... Сейчас очень много хронических эндометритов мы спостерігаємо, ну, принаймні у нас в Украине, да, которые касаются, ну, и не только суррогатной мамы, но и пациентки. Это все стрессы, это все... Ну, то есть сейчас наш образ жизни, можно сказать, связанный с войной, да, то есть поэтому мы обязательно обследуем, это может мешать имплантации. Вот для того, чтобы увеличить шансы имплантации, мы берем папиль биопсии и обследуем на хронический эндометрит. Если мы его выявляем, мы обязательно его лечим. И вот тут уже как бы такой долгий процесс, потому что может занимать и месяц, и два.
Okay. And so, and then also Dr. what she said that, this is something that, we are doing at ADONIS. It's not required by by the legislation, and she will go into legislation more that is governing the surrogacy process in Ukraine. But she said we also adding pipal biopsy. This is to see if we have any pathology with the chronic endometriosis. And Dr. Alena actually said that that since she working since 2022, actually that we have been noticing that increases of the chronic endometriosis, not only
Endometriosis.
Oh, I'm sorry, not endometriosis, guys. I did not. Thank you so much for correcting me. So endometrite, it's not endometriosis. I apologize. So, but it's something that could impact implantations. Да, правильно? So, have been noticing increases of some rates in the patients and also in surrogate candidates. So it's something that we absolutely paying attention to, and it's not being, overlooked or negotiated on. And so what Dr. mentioned, just adding this step, that prolongs some of the vital screening timelines. And why is it prolonging the timelines? Почему это увеличивает процесс?
Потому что если есть необходимость лечения, то мы лечим. И иногда лечение занимает месяц-два, в зависимости от фазы. Мы можем брать этот папиль биопсии только в первую фазу. И точно так же после лечения нужен контроль, чтобы мы понимали, что его точно нет. А сам анализ приблизительно делается 2 недели на хронический эндометрит. Ну и вот оно так вот все и затягивается, получается. Пока лечение, пока анализ, пока результат ждем. Вот,
Извините, вы сказали, что берется тест на каком этапе цикла?
Первая фаза. Сразу после.
Okay. So, so we need to pay attention that, some tests, including this pipal biopsy, can be done only on a particular day of the cycle. Okay. So, for example, this test needs to be done in the first phase of the cycle. So depending when candidate will come, if that, because some tests could be done at any moment, right? And so then, if that first phase is missed, then she will be assigned to come for this additional examination specifically for the pipal biopsy. And it takes about 2 weeks to receive the results. And after that, of course, anyone that the screening came perfect, she will be then already be matched with the parents. And if there is any concerns, then the surrogate either will be denied or depending on evaluation, she will be assigned treatment prior to being reconsidered again as a candidate. Да, все. То есть еще что-то мы хотим добавить?
По обследованию.
Okay, so let's maybe, do share with us. So when you're talking about what's governing how how the screening of the surrogates is being regulated, how is it governed in Ukraine, на каком основании делаются, вот, принимаются эти решения для тестирования суррогатной,
У
да,
нас,
что регулирует.
у нас есть общий приказ МОЗ Украины 787, который касается абсолютно всех людей, которые обращаются к вспомогательной репродуктивной технологии.
Мгм.
И он касается и пациентов просто, он касается и суррогатных мам, и доноров, то есть там все это прописано. Необходимый перечень обследований, которые должны проходить женщины. И
Мгм.
мы
Mhm. So, Dr. Alena saying that the main document that is governing reproduction and, including the screenings of the gestational carriers, it's for Ukrainian surrogate, is the law number 787. Well, it's more like an order, I think. It doesn't call when you translate. I think it's an order. Number 787. And that's why it's in details, the list of examination, all of the parameters for the surrogates are being outlined. But of course, in addition, then ADONIS, just like, we're requiring certain additional tests, just example, that was pipal biopsy, that's something that already then clinics are deciding to do. And that's what ADONIS is a decision for ADONIS to do. Хорошо, yes. И как вот вы сейчас видите, что на самом деле вы считаете залог, так как, вы видите других пациентов, да, не только суррогатных, но и также пациентов, которые вы делаете лечение в стороне fertility. Что вообще является залогом успеха? So I would like doctor, because she's not only doing screening of surrogates, but she's also, of course, treating, patients themselves, for their fertility journeys, whether it's IVF or some other procedures. And also having background as OBGYN, I just would like to see what does she thinks, what is she looking in a candidate? What does she thinks is really means to have a successful candidate? Like, what is that, I guess, foundation of that success?
Ну, в первую очередь, это, конечно же, здоровая мама. Мы хотим, чтобы мы стараемся максимально выбрать здоровых женщин для того, чтобы получить здоровую беременность, чтобы получить здорового доношенного ребенка. Обязательно обращаем внимание на положительный настрой самой женщины, да, на ее ответственность, то есть обязательно, чтобы была контактная, чтобы мы понимали и не переживали. И обязательно, конечно же, это настрой родителей, вера в то, что можно получить, что именно этот шанс их приведет к желанной беременности и к желанному ребенку.
Thank you. Yes, so doctor said, she really thinks that it's a combination of several things. So, first of all, of course, it's a healthy, absolutely healthy gestational carrier, right? Surrogate mother. Because she said ultimately what we're looking for is that it's not just immediate task of implantation, right? It's not just, helping her get pregnant, but it's to ensure that it's worry-free pregnancy and it's worry-free delivery, that at the end of the journey, you having a baby, or babies that are, have been born at full term, right? It's not premature birth, that there are no complications to the surrogate and her health. It's just a perfect journey. So the more of this legwork and foundation we could do ahead of time, the more it goes into the success. The next the doctor has shared is, of course, positive outlook and, emotional well-being of the surrogate. This is something that, is being screened, before she even comes, to medical team, like Dr. Alena. But it's something that you still could sense and feel, she said, as, she's dealing with these ladies, right? With those candidates. What is her outlook to life? How she's considering things, how organized she is, how positive she is, and, not just hypothetically positive, but, really not just pretending to be positive, but, there is certain energy about them. So she's looking for that. And she says, then of course, believe it or not, and even though you are far away, right, parents, specifically if you're doing, surrogacy in Ukraine, and let's say you're in another country, that it's, positive outlook of the parents. And it's really trust and believe, that anything that is possible, that you're really in the hands of the best team. So she said that, like that doctors could feel it as well. So your trust is vitally important. То есть, so, I know that, especially now, during the summer, we have noticed, some of the maybe longer waits for the parents, for the candidates. Yes, and of course, this could add some frustration. That could add, some, just anxiety and some other things. Like, what do you see from your side? Like, for example, I know, like, it always gives me peace of mind knowing that there are doctors like you who are working, you saying we not overlooking any smallest detail. Like, we, no matter how much you, or, parents or, coordinators are on a timeline, we're not going to rush things for the sake of rushing. Yes, and so this is very important to me. But what else are you noticing? Доктор Алена, я просто поделилась и сказала, что вот особенно сейчас летом, да, мы замечаем, что, конечно, мы видим, что родители дольше ждут, да, но мне очень важно, вот мне всегда, я сказала, что это... Ну, для меня это очень важно чувствовать, что неважно, как мы торопимся, неважно, как торопятся родители, вы, доктора, вот я чувствую, никогда не торопитесь. Вот как вы это объясните, да, то есть и вообще...
Что летом меньше мам сейчас, это еще и пациентов также. Это еще можно объяснить отпускной программой. Мамы готовят своих детей в школу, а затем придут. То есть вот это тоже очень часто так бывает сезонно, да. Мы не торопимся, мы тише едешь, дальше будешь, как говорят у нас, да. Мы со своей стороны, у нас очень такой дружный коллектив, у нас хорошая команда, мы обязательно держим связь всегда на телефоне, мы просматриваем все анализы, не один доктор, то есть не только терапевт, но и я, и мы все просматриваем, если нужно, мы создаем консилиум, где решаем, берем мы эту женщину, не берем, нужно ее лечить, не нужно, дополнительные какие-то обследования, мы стараемся сделать максимум, чтобы увеличить шансы на, как я уже сказала, имплантацию и хорошее вынашивание, потому что ведь есть, для нас важно не только, скажем так, положительный бета-ХГЧ, но и живой, здоровый ребенок, рожденный, доношенный, это тоже очень важно, потому что, есть разные патологии, которые проявляют себя во время уже беременности, даже на поздних сроках, и мы должны...
Да, будет такое важное, the doctors are going such important things, so I want to make sure I translate it before she jumps further. So, yeah, Dr. Alena says that definitely she's seeing, especially during the summer, and she thinks maybe it's, like, cyclical things, right? Like it's repeating from year to year, to where, during the summer, surrogates, they, all of them are moms, and they paying attention a lot to their kids. They could be getting them ready for school right now. They, their own kids. They could be, dealing, just having some summer vacations. And she says that she's not really noticing, some of this, the decrease in numbers of the candidates, for the surrogates, but she says she also sees it on patients as well. Yes, that during the summer, believe it or not, like, she says that definitely the volume of patients fluctuate, and she thinks it's because people do take some time off for vacation and just to restore their body and, emotions and so forth. But at the same moment, she said, no matter if it's summer or not, she said, yes, we as doctors, we never rushing. You will not be able to rush us in any way, under any circumstances. And she said that they're very tight medical team. They're very friendly to each other, and they really work as a team. So every candidate is being discussed by all of those doctors that is involved. If there is something under question, where there is a disagreement or something is being brought up by one doctor, they even creating conciliums, right? Like, joint meetings of all of the doctors who are participating in selection of surrogate, and they making final decisions, right? They all bringing their evidence of why or why not she should be a candidate, and whether she's approved to move forward to the next phase, which is matching. Okay. Because again, she's stressing that it's so vitally important that bringing you a healthy full-term baby, that is ultimate. And what doctor was starting to go into, which I would like her to walk us through more, she said, because at this phase could be, before she even started the program, there could be some maybe hidden pathologies that that absolutely vital to be identified in the future. Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm going to mute someone. That in the future they, guys, I'm sorry, we have to mute you guys. Somehow it's not letting me mute.
caramel inside. Is it going to be free?
I apologize. It was, for some reason, was not muting one person. Guys, for the respect of each other, and because we're also doing recording, please keep your audio on mute unless you want to ask question, but also you could type in the question. Yes, so doctor was talking about potential conditions that could lead to pathologies in the future. Дайте, например, несколько примеров таких. Я думаю, что родителям будет очень интересно услышать, ну вот какие вот эти примеры, которые вы говорите, какие-то, может быть, скрытные течения в организме, которые могут потом вылиться в патологии. То есть что это может быть? Может быть, что с какой-то поверхностного рассмотрения может казаться, ой, это несерьезно, у нее все на ультрасаундах, все ее fertility, все нормально, да, ну, с женской точки зрения. А вот может что-то быть, да, вот дайте нам примеры. Угу.
Ну, например, преэклампсия, такое осложнение беременности, да, когда повышенное давление, затем отеки, и это может привести к преждевременным родам, да, к срочному родоразрешению преждевременному. Например, сахарный диабет, он тоже себя может никак не проявлять, но потом во время беременности проявить, да, такие патологии, как сосудами, тромбозы, это тоже может. То есть мы смотрим общую картину и определяем, да, есть шанс, обязательно узнаем, как протекала ее предыдущие беременности, как они проходили, есть ли у нее какие-то жалобы, стоит ли она на учете у докторов, какие препараты она применяет, ну, то есть это все очень важно.
Давайте я переведу. Yeah, so, some of the examples could be, if there is any, potential conditions that could be leading to such thing as preeclampsia, right? Elevated high blood pressure during the pregnancy, which could have the pathology, and serious consequences to the pregnancy, including the premature birth and so forth. Is there any issues with the vascular system, right? With the правильно, vascular? No, like things like, predisposition to thrombosis and some other things. Yes, so how is the processing of sugar is this predisposition to the diabetes of different types. So they're looking at all of those things in combination, as well as really triple checking, how was the previous, how were her own pregnancies? Yes. Is she on observation with any doctors? And if yes, what are the reasons for any, somatic conditions in her body, in her health? Is there is, has any concerns right now, right? Like, does she complain about any like headaches or anything else? Like, what are those things? So every single detail is so important. And so once again, like, even if some tests are being passed with like flying colors, right? Everything is perfect. it does not mean that that candidate will be accepted. Что-то вы еще хотели добавить вот к этому, к примерам вот таким?
Ну и обязательно инфекции, потому что нужно исключить инфекции, и если есть, обязательно вылечить, потому что это тоже может привести к преждевременным родам, к инфекции, внутриутробной инфекции плода. И, то есть мы очень-очень-очень скрупулезно подходим к каждому вопросу и стараемся минимизировать риски невынашивания и преждевременных родов.
Yeah, so doctor said, of course, big attention is being spent on infections. Yes, so it's just again, she said that when we're looking at the candidate, guys, like you cannot imagine, like we are so detailed, right? Like there is not a tiny detail that is not significant to us. Okay, so that's exactly what we're doing because we want it to be perfect. We want to identify what are any potential risks that could be for your pregnancy and for your child, and we want to take them out of the equation. I know that sometimes it could be frustrating for parents that, let's say they're expecting candidate and, we get the feedback from the medical team, yes, let's say we have 3 potential candidates this week that are already passed so many evaluations, including with your team, and that we're waiting on the last results on some tests, or, there has been some red flags or maybe orange flags lifted, and you are ordering additional tests just to make sure that what you have seen is not an issue actually, and that maybe you have seen it was not correct, right? You're triple checking that. And so the frustration could be where we're saying, yes, there are 3 candidates, we're waiting for feedback. And then, we're getting feedback from you guys and you're saying, no, we are not comfortable with this candidate, she needs to get additional treatment. How often do you see those things? Хочу спросить, да, например, я говорю, что я понимаю, что, вот иногда для родителей бывает очень... очень неприятно, когда они говорят, ой, мы ждем, и мы спрашиваем команду, да, вы, например, говорите, да, у нас сейчас потенциально, скажем, там 3 кандидатки или там 4, которые вот уже вот буквально последние результаты ждем, уже все хорошо, либо вы говорите, да, был там немножко, может быть, что-то, какая-то тревога была по поводу, и вы хотите просто вот дополнительные тесты, чтобы быть абсолютно уверены, что этого нет, да, и потом, к сожалению, приходят результаты, и вы говорите, ну нет, мы не
Да.
хотим. Как часто вы видите, такое случается?
Ну, честно говоря, не часто, но хотя, смотря с какой, наверное, все-таки часто бывает. Но вот так, чтобы мы уже совсем подошли и в конце уже, да, отсеяли, сказали нет, это не часто. Но вот часто бывает, вроде визуально смотришь, хорошая девочка, ничего тебя не смущает, но обязательно придет либо мазок плохой, либо вот папель плохой, и тебе нужно еще дополнительно ее лечить, объяснять, рассказывать. То есть, вот такие моменты часто бывают, да.
So yeah, so doctor said, well, actually, the cases where it's like literally, she passed every single step, all of these doctors and everything, and then there is a certain surprise. She said, probably it's not as often, okay? There are definitely could be cases like that, especially, for ordering, like a pipe biopsy. And of course, after 2 weeks, we're getting some more deeper analysis. But she said, yes, what could be more common is, there are stages of evaluation, even, from the OBGYN perspective, where there is examination that is more visual, right? There is so much that you could see with the human eye. And then, and it seems like everything is perfect about her, right? And then, of course, the ordering, the actual, the screening test, well, anyway, so it's, some tests where they're already getting results. So that's where they could be where already maybe in the middle stages, candidates that doctors felt and all of the preliminary phases felt that it could be a good candidate, and she might be advancing further. She might be taking off and not approved to go further unless she gets treatment, or some of them might be, denied indefinitely. So, yeah, guys, if you have any more questions, please, please ask, so we definitely could review them. But otherwise, I really hope that you got a glimpse. The reason I really was so excited to see the doctor, and have doctor with us today, that you really could have that feeling and understanding that the process of selection at Adonis is very rigorous. So it's just, there is no way around it. And the doctors will never rush for the sake of rushing. And when they're not rushing, it does not mean that there is a problem or that it will not be surrogate for you. It just means that, we have to do our due diligence. Let me ask about the pipeline, as far as, like, does she see like, oh my God, like, several weeks there is no candidates, or how does it work? Доктор Алена, поделитесь, пожалуйста, расскажите, ну, то есть вот мы уже объяснили, да, что мы не торопимся с тестами, что нужно сделать, оно будет сделано, если, да, но мое понимание, что вот это вот процесс тестирования, он идет постоянно, то есть нет такого, где вы говорите, ой, вот у меня вот несколько недель, я не видела ни одной кандидатки.
Нет, каждый день есть
Okay. Yes.
ходят.
Okay, so I think that's very important to know. So Dr. Alena said, no, absolutely. There is nowhere, she sees the gaps in candidates coming. She says, literally, I see surrogate candidates every single day of my, work. So you could imagine the volume of candidates we're going through. Probably Adonis is has one of the biggest pipelines of the surrogates. It's just, we have a full commitment to you guys and to your future success. And for us, absolutely perfect candidate is just non-negotiables. Yes? Okay, let me see. Тут какой-то вопрос пришел. Сейчас на вопрос посмотрю. So the question came in. During the medical screening, is the blood type for the surrogate and the genetic material embryo a concerning factor? Is it something that needs to be matched? Thank you. Phenomenal question. Доктор Алена, очень хороший вопрос. Спрашивают, во время, вот когда происходит уже, то есть суррогатная кандидат прошла, да, и вот идет уже процесс матчинг с родителями. Важна ли группа крови и резус суррогатной и также эмбриона? Как это рассматривается с вашей точки
Да,
зрения?
это очень важно, поэтому мы, если честно, не работаем с суррогатными мамами, у которых отрицательная группа крови, и у нас в основном положительная группа крови женщин. Если же отрицательная, они дополнительно могут сдавать анализы на антитела, и только если их не обнаружено, только тогда мы можем делать перенос. Это важный вопрос, чтобы не было резус-конфликта во время беременности. Ну вот, если честно, очень редко бывают, когда с отрицательной, в основном с положительной группой крови мы тоже вот селектируем.
Yes, doctor said that very, very important question. Thank you so much for asking. She said that, we really have a preference to have surrogates with a positive blood Rh factor. Yes, positive. So if there is equal candidates or if there is also concerns, always preference would be given to the surrogate with the positive, Rh positive. Now, we do have some of the surrogates with Rh negative, and doctors are comfortable with them, right? But those are the candidates that has went through additional examinations, right? And those additional examinations have showed, it's specifically testing on antibodies, and there will be other additional steps done just to make sure that absolutely will no chances for the Rh conflict. So this we pay attention closely to that. What about, so this is Rh factor, but what about like letters, like does that makes a difference? Type, blood type. А как, например, то есть это вы сказали про резус фактор, а вот группа крови сама не имеет? Okay.
Нет.
Okay, so doctor said yes, the blood type does not is not a factor. So this is not something that is being considered. So no, absolutely no worries on this part. Okay, great question. Any other questions? So please type in. Yes, it's very hard to get a hold of doctors because their schedule is so booked. So I don't know when next I would be able to get a doctor. Usually we do not have doctors on our webinars, just because we cannot disturb them. Okay, another question came. What happens if me and my male partner have frozen embryos in New York, and I'm actually from Ukraine but have US citizenship? I have lived in US since 9. Does the surrogate come here? Do we ship embryos to Ukraine? Do we need to be married? We have been together for 12 years. He has cancer too. Guys, very great question. Your question is more logistical, so let me answer that for you. I will translate for the doctor so she knows what we're answering, but this is really more logistics question. Да, доктор Алена, вопрос сейчас был задан, но он больше относится к логистике, поэтому я на него отвечу, но чтобы вы знали, о чем мы говорим. Спрашивается, что если эмбрионы находятся в Нью-Йорке, суррогатная тогда придет в Америку, или это все будет делаться в Украине, пересылаем ли мы эмбрионы в Украину, должны ли мы быть женаты и так далее. Поэтому сейчас отвечу. Yes, so guys, surrogacy in Ukraine, okay, specifically, has a very strict legislation requirements. Yes, so only families who are heterosexual married couples have medical indication for surrogacy and also have genetic connection between child and at least one of the parents can participate in a program. Okay, so to answer your question, do we need to be married? Yes. If you're considering surrogacy in Ukraine, then you have to be married to participate. Yes. Now, your question is, your embryos are in New York. Does it mean surrogate will come to New York and do program there? So two separate programs. So you would need to make a decision whether surrogacy is happening in America, yes, or surrogacy is happening in Ukraine. So blended programs is really not an option because the moment you're going into the blended program, it really, you still, you're not really quite saving any money, okay? So let's say if the surrogate is coming from Ukraine to America, yes, she will be getting compensation as person in America. She will be required to abide by all of the, all of the medical procedures and process will be done as in America. So the fertility cost of the fertility clinics will be American cost and so forth. So really bringing surrogate from Ukraine does not add any benefit to you. The best is, yes, to decide surrogacy in America or surrogacy in Ukraine. Surrogate in Ukraine, surrogacy in Ukraine is really phenomenal.
Извините, я понимаю, тогда эмбриос нужно пересылать в Украину.
Yes. So
Да, но у меня вопрос, а если вдруг с моим партнером что-то случится, и я останусь с этими эмбриос сама?
Okay.
Я могу, если вдруг я не могу быть как single mother или иметь партнера, то есть если это все равно будут мои embryos, он подписал papers в Америке, что embryos мои. В этой ситуации, если вдруг что-то случится, я поэтому как-то, да.
Yeah. So, I'm going to just briefly answer your question, but I think what we're going to do is I'm going to follow up with you after the call, just provide you more information. Your question has more legal impact, so it's really not the doctor. Actually, yes, I'm actually not even going to answer. I'm going to send you the feedback because I want to be sensitive to doctor's time.
Of course.
Yes, so because you registered, I have your contact, I will follow up with you. So the question was further, what happens is if, once the embryos have already been transported, if one of the parents passes away, then how is it impacting the whole process? So we're going to address that question. And then if it looks like if it's interesting to other people as well, we could have additional session on the legal team. Okay, so the next question, is there any concern that the war may cause the surrogate to be exposed to chemicals or other materials that may have negative impact on the pregnancy? Stress alone does seem to have an effect. Can we do or provide anything that may be helpful to keep the carrier and her family more safe? Wonderful question. Thank you so much. Значит, вопрос такой. Думаете ли вы, что вот из-за войны в Украине, что суррогатные могут быть exposed, ну, что они могут быть под влиянием каких-то дополнительных химикатов или чего-то, что может тоже повлиять на беременность. Есть также, ну, чувствую, что может быть негативный вот стресс, влияние стресса, да, но вы же говорите, что мы обязательно, ну, то есть мы смотрим на суррогатных, которые, ну, на которых это не влияет. То есть как вы к этому относитесь? Мгм. И как
Ам,
семьи могут помочь? Мгм.
Мы обязательно выбираем женщин, которые эм, ну, живут не в близлежащих районах возле боевых действий. Да? Мы обязательно обследуем женщин у психиатра, то есть они приносят справку, что у них нет психических заболеваний. Плюс максимум, что женщины могут принимать во время беременности, ну, это препараты на травках, да, успокоительные, это максимум, что могут принимать, как и любая другая беременная женщина, которая переживает, нервничает, да, то есть скажите еще им, что мы здесь уже привыкли, и мы уже не нервничаем, если что.
Okay, all right. So, yes, so doctor says, well, first of all, no, so she does not, you know, they don't see it, any impact, and they also don't foresee any impact because, you know, first of all, we're very selective what regions we're taking gestational care carriers from. Okay, we are not taking any candidates from areas that are close. You know, if they live close to the military actions, so we're not seeing that. Now, as far as you know, intakes of chemicals, she said, you know, you need to understand, like, you know, this is just because it's done in Ukraine, it's no different than it would be done in any other country. So the rules of what surrogate can be taking during the pregnancy, they're still very strict. Yes. So what kind of medication she could be taking, you know, including, like, you know, if she needs to have any calming, you know, like homeopathic type things. Everything is done with a strict guidance of the doctors. Now, as far as stress, and you know, you see right now, doctor, and she's in Kiev, yes, so she is Adonis in Kiev, she and her family, and you see her smiling. She doesn't seem to be stressed. She said, guys, what I really want you to understand, I know, like, it might be hard to believe, but we are really used to things the way they are. So we are not stressing. So if you think that we are stressing, we are not stressing. And you know, she also kind of chuckled when she was saying that. Yes, I need to tell you the same. So if like, you know, right now, like just this week, we have 2 baby deliveries, and I'm looking at the photos of parents, and I'm looking at the photos of the surrogates. You know, I'm also seeing the photos of the surrogates, you know, through the pregnancy observations. Guys, happy people. Happy, you know, just because there is many reasons to be happy about. Of course, Ukrainian people are not happy about the war, right? It's, you would not wish it for anyone, but the stamina that these people have, yes, and the ability to really do what needs to be done and continue moving with the life while having a most positive outlook, I think it's something that we're all admiring. Like, I'm admiring it so deeply. And I don't know how they do it, but when they saying we are not stressing, I know they're not pretending. Okay, but very good question. Now, as far as what can you do to help surrogates, you know, so once you have been matched with your surrogate, we're definitely going to be asking those questions. And if there is anything that your particular surrogate need, if there is anything that you could help her, you know, we will be advising as well. So it's hard to answer it like, you know, specific, you know, overall in general. But if there is anything that would be needed or anything you would like to do for your surrogate, we always open for those considerations. Доктор Алена, что-нибудь еще вы хотите добавить, что-то? Я знаю, что это уже очень глубокий вечер для вас. I'm asking Dr. Alena if there is anything else she would like to add from her perspective, because it's actually quite late for her. It's almost 8 o'clock in the evening for her. We're so grateful for you to being here with us and brainstorming. Что-то еще на ум приходит? Вот, да, опять же, вот родители, они из разных стран, ну, в основном сегодня, да, это родители с Америки, очень далеко, да, новости для нас показываются все страшное и вообще, да, как вот вы чувствуете, да?
Всегда хочется понять своих пациентов, да, и ну, ты понимаешь их переживания, и, ну, главное, наверное, верить в успех, и тогда успех обязательно к тебе придет, и не переживать, потому что родители, наверное, переживают за нашу войну больше, чем мы здесь.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, Dr. Alena said yes. She said, well, maybe the most important thing is, yes, you know, have your own positive outlook as well. You know, and have the trust and, you know, have the understanding of the process. She said, I think that maybe when you are outside of Ukraine, especially, you know, so far away as, you know, America, United States, you probably worry more about Ukraine than people in Ukraine worrying about themselves. She said, you know, that's just the reality. So please, she said, don't worry. And I guess it's harder to say than done to say just don't worry, but that's what she said. Хорошо, спасибо вам огромное. Да. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for everyone who have been here with us. We look forward to continue supporting you. I will get back on the individual questions. So thank you. And if there is anything after the call as well, or as you're listening to the recording, guys, if there is anything we can help you with, there will be contact information as well. So feel free to follow up. Okay, спасибо, Dr. Alena. Thank you, everyone.
Спасибо.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much. Bye.